Stop, don't scroll. There is a record that was just made in heaven about the spiritual weight you carried in silence this week, and I was sent to deliver you the exact reason why. It has a name, it has a source, and it has an expiration date. You feel it in your body, a weariness that sleep doesn't touch, as if you've been wrestling all night in a battle you can't see when you're awake. You feel it as a constant, low-frequency hum in your spirit, a sound only you can hear that makes the ordinary world feel strangely out of tune. This isn't just tiredness, it's the physical cost of bearing a divine weight in a hostile atmosphere. You feel it in your decisions. You receive a clear blueprint from God, a strategy, a business idea, a path for your family, and when you go to build it, your hands feel tied by invisible threads. Obstacles appear out of nowhere, right before a breakthrough. Opportunities dissolve. It's as if you're walking against a powerful unseen wind, and the spiritual friction makes every simple step require a disproportionate amount of effort. You feel it in your home. You are the anchor for everyone, the pillar, the one who sees the storm clouds on a sunny day. But the stability you provide for others makes you a stationary target. You absorb the chaos, you stand firm, and you turn around to find yourself left alone in your own desert, your own foundation eroding, while you were busy saving everyone else's ships. If you recognize this weight, I need to make 3 promises to you. First, by the end of this video, you will understand the invisible battle that is drawn to the prophecy on your life. You will understand that the exhaustion you feel is not a sign of failure, but a direct consequence of the spiritual gravitas your destiny emits. Second, I will give you an actionable tool of spiritual covering, not a theory, but a shield, a specific protocol you can execute today to protect the anointing on your life and stop the friction from draining your strength. And third, at the end of our time together, we will make a declaration. We will not just acknowledge the weight, we will claim the throne it belongs to. We will seal the prophecy, so that the strength God gave you feels like a crown, not a crushing burden. If you feel the weight of this, please stay until the end. Don't break the line before. Have you ever felt that the immense strength you carry, the very thing that makes you the pillar in everyone else's life, is not just a personality trait, but a spiritual weight? And what if that exhaustion that follows you, that invisible friction against everything you try to build, is a sign of a battle against the prophecy God placed over your life? While many try to explain it as burnout or stress, few perceive that this spiritual gravitas draws opposition not just for what you have, but for the kingdom God is building on you. But what if the true reason for this weight is hidden in the very thing you have not yet managed to see about your own life? Now think with me. What if everything you have endured up to this point, the crushing weight of other people's burdens, the bizarre sabotage of your breakthroughs, is the answer to that question you have carried in silence for years? Why does my strength feel like a punishment? It was while seeking answers to this that I found this digital book called The 7 Spiritual Reasons Why the Chosen Ones Face So Much Envy. This book is not just reading, it is a key to decoding your spiritual reality, a tool made for those who want to see beyond the surface, to stop feeling guilty for their own exhaustion, and to understand why there is a divine law that unleashes resistance against those who carry the mark of God's strength. Several chosen ones here on this channel have already felt the call of this spiritual shield, but have not yet made the decision to download the digital book. Download it right now. It's available in the first pinned comment. But beware, this content may not remain available for long. It reveals spiritual reasons that many prefer to ignore, because they expose what is behind the sudden fatigue after a victory, the subtle envy from unexpected places, and the feeling of being an anchor for everyone else while drowning yourself. Don't wait for the next wave of inexplicable exhaustion to hit before you seek the understanding you already feel you need. Click now, download your copy, and find out why the spiritual friction you feel has failed to stop what God started in you. If you are one of the first to download, come back here and write, Amen. This will be your act of faith, and today, God may show you the reason why the weight of your own calling has been warring against your life. There is a covering for this, a shadow, a secret place where the friction you feel cannot reach. It's the place where the heavy cloak you've been carrying is lifted from your shoulders, not because the calling is removed, but because you are finally standing under the authority that issued it. If you felt that, I want you to make a declaration of recognition right now. Not for me, not for the algorithm, but for your own spirit to hear. Go to the comments and write, "The prophecy is real." Just that. The prophecy is real. This is an act of acknowledging the weight, so that later we can claim the crown. And about this very thing, about the heavy cloak you feel, about the silent hum in your spirit, about being the anchor in the sand for everyone. There is a 3-minute seal that fits exactly inside that first quiet moment of exhaustion after a victory, and I will show it to you later. Tuck it away in the back of your mind. And beyond our digital guide, Chosen One, you have here another way to strengthen this message that arrived at your house today, and to make it reach more and more chosen ones like you. We don't receive a single cent for each word I deliver to you every day on this channel. As a way for you to give back something of what you receive here, we also keep a voluntary donation link open right below the digital book in the first pinned comment. Any amount that fits in your hand today, any sum your heart points to, this is what keeps our channel standing. This is what makes the next message reach another person who needs it, exactly the way you need it today. I'll see you there, Chosen One. And if you need to leave before the end of this video, this shield is already waiting for you in the first pinned comment right below here. But I ask you to stay until the end, because without the context that comes now, the seal won't work with the same strength over your calling's foundation. I still haven't told you the most important thing. There is a single ancient word that names the divine power you carry, and it explains why this strength feels so heavy. It's a word that will reframe your exhaustion not as a weakness, but as the very evidence of your might. Before I go on, I need you to do something. Close your eyes for a second, or at least look away from the screen. Let the world go quiet. I need your spirit to listen more than your ears. I am going to describe 5 specific signals, 5 echoes of the spiritual friction you have been feeling. If I am right about at least 3 of them, then you and I will both know this is not a random video you stumbled upon. We will know this is a divine appointment. And the reason you feel so heavy is because your spirit recognized the hour of its relief. The first signal is the silent conversation that happens after you speak. You share a deep revelation, a piece of wisdom you received from God, with a friend or a co-worker, and for a moment they just stare at you, a blank look in their eyes. There's a strange silence, a disconnect. They hear the words, but they cannot feel the weight. And in that moment, you feel profoundly alone, like you are speaking a language from a world they cannot see. The second signal is in your body, the moment you wake up. You have slept for 7-8 hours, but you open your eyes feeling more exhausted than when you went to bed. It's a deep, weary ache in your bones, as if you have spent the entire night in a physical battle, wrestling with an unseen opponent. This is not a lack of rest. It is the cost of standing guard in the spirit while the world around you sleeps. The third signal happens the moment you share good news. You finally get a small win, a minor breakthrough after a long struggle. You tell a family member, someone you love, and they give you a tight, forced smile. Their eyes go distant for a fraction of a second, and then they immediately pivot the conversation to a crisis in their own life, completely washing over your moment of light. And you feel a sudden chilling sense of invalidation, the spiritual equivalent of being handed a trophy made of smoke. And about that precise moment of invalidation, that forced smile you just recognized, there is a specific covering for it in the spiritual shield that is waiting for you. It's already there in the first pinned comment. The fourth signal is the last-minute sabotage. You're about to close a deal, finish a project, or step into a new season of blessing. Everything is aligned. Then, out of nowhere, a bizarre, inexplicable obstacle appears. A key person backs out. A critical file gets corrupted. A sudden, unexpected expense drains your resources. It's not just bad luck. It is the enemy's final, desperate attempt to move the cornerstone he knows God has already set in place. The fifth and final signal is the silence after the victory. You have won. You have overcome. The congratulations have faded. The phone calls have stopped, and you are alone. And in that first quiet moment, a wave of exhaustion hits you that is far greater than the effort you expended. It's a profound emptiness, a sense that the battle cost you something vital, and it makes the victory feel hollow. This is the enemy's last resort, to poison the well of your testimony by amplifying the cost of your obedience. Now, just for a second, be honest with your own spirit. How many of those 5 signals hit home? 3? 4? All 5? If at least 3 of them landed in your heart, then you already know that you are not here by accident. The weight you feel is real, the battle is real, and the prophecy on your life is the reason for it all. This confirms that the covering God has for you is not just a comforting idea, it is a necessary spiritual weapon. It is for those specific 5 moments. It's a shield designed to be raised in the first second of that forced smile, in the first wave of that morning exhaustion, in that first quiet moment after the victory. It is a protocol of authority. But before I show you the instrument of covering that will shield the very hope God has been building inside of you, I need to give you the name of the power you carry. Because a shield only makes sense after you know the name of the treasure it is designed to protect. There is a word in Hebrew that defines this very state of divine strength, feeling like a crushing burden, a word that recontextualizes everything I have just described. There is a word in the original Hebrew that changes everything you thought you knew. Now that you have felt the truth in those 5 signals, it is clear this is a divine appointment. The spiritual friction you feel is the proof. The seal of this hour you are crossing has been seen, and it is a dangerous seal to carry alone, because between being chosen and being covered, there is an interval the envious one knows better than you do. Not because the anointing was revoked, because the time has come. The first quiet moment after your next victory is approaching, and you still don't have a name for the weight on your shoulders. And I'm telling you this because I've seen it happen. I've seen it with leaders who felt that same heavy, invisible cloak you feel, standing in rooms full of people yet feeling completely alone. I have seen the silent hum of a divine idea turn into the deafening noise of self-doubt. I've seen the strength of an anchor in the sand turn into the feeling of being buried alive by other people's chaos. I've seen the weight of a spiritual crown turn into a chronic migraine that no doctor can explain. And not because they lacked faith, because the envious one entered through the very friction their calling created, and no one noticed. When I use that word, envious, I'm not using a metaphor. I'm naming the spiritual force that specializes in amplifying the cost of your obedience, in turning your spiritual gravitas into an anchor of exhaustion, and in making you question the validity of your own calling. And you already know this. You just hadn't given it a name yet. You carry the weight of everyone's world on your shoulders, giving them the map to their promised land, only to turn around and find you've been left standing alone in your own desert. You receive divine blueprints for victory, clear, detailed, and undeniable. But when you go to build, your hands feel tied by an invisible thread, and every brick you lay seems to be mysteriously moved overnight. You are a lighthouse shining in the storm, guiding ships to safety, but the light that saves them makes you a clear and visible target, and you can feel the waves crashing against your foundation, a foundation no one else even bothers to check. Before I name the shield for that exact feeling of being a lighthouse battered by the waves, take your thumb to the first pinned comment, right down here. It was while seeking answers to this that I found this digital book called The 7 Spiritual Reasons Why the Chosen Ones Face So Much Envy. This isn't just a book about envy. It's a spiritual covering for the gravitas you carry. The principles in this book are designed to teach you how to stop the friction, how to protect your energy, and how to finally wear your strength as a crown, not a cross. This is your chance to claim your authority. In its pages, you'll discover why your exhaustion is evidence of your power, why the resistance is proof of your calling, and why the loneliness is a temporary state before your kingdom is established. Don't wait for the crushing exhaustion of that next quiet moment after a victory to seek what you already feel you need to understand. It's in the first pinned comment, right down here. Click the link now, secure your copy, and discover why your spiritual gravitas has no legal authority to be used against you by the enemy. And if you are among the first to download, come back here and write in the comments, Amen. This is a declared act of faith, and this will be the seal that God uses to show you what He is building on your foundation. There is a reason this book resonates so deeply. It's because the entire strategy is built on a divine architecture, the same architecture declared in Psalm 91, verse 1. He who dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. This isn't just a verse, it is a blueprint for a spiritual location, a place where the friction of the world cannot reach the calling on your life. A cornerstone who doesn't learn this architecture will mistake the pressure of their purpose for the punishment of abandonment. The digital book in the first pinned comment was built on this architecture. It is the same secret place that allowed Joseph to survive the crushing weight of a prophecy that attracted years of resistance long before it produced a day of reward. And the price of this spiritual covering is almost offensive in its humility. It is less than a Thursday coffee you buy for a coworker who will later question your promotion. Less than a Friday night movie ticket to escape a reality that feels too heavy to bear. Less than a Saturday delivery fee for a meal you eat alone while processing everyone else's problems. You make those choices without a second thought, because they were choices for momentary comfort. And here, faced with something that can change the spiritual atmosphere around you for the next 12 months, you will hesitate. Not because it is worth less, because the enemy's first line of defense is always to make you question the value of your own deliverance. This hesitation has a name. It is the very spiritual friction you feel, now disguised as financial prudence, trying to keep you exhausted and uncovered. It's the final whisper that says the wait is normal, and there is a 7-day guarantee. If you open it, read it, and it does not serve you, send an email and you will get all your money back. No questions, no process, no judgment. There is no risk on your part, especially when what is at stake is the covering over your calling. The risk is all on my side, because the only real risk is facing the next quiet moment after a victory with the same feeling of emptiness you felt after the last one. Several chosen ones here on this channel have already stepped under this covering. Marcos, 52, a project manager, wrote to me on a Tuesday night. He felt that exact Atlas burdener responsible for his entire team, but waking up exhausted every single day. He told me he felt like he was wrestling all night. He read the book between Tuesday and Wednesday, and he wrote to me saying that for the first time in years, he woke up feeling not just rested, but light, understanding the battle wasn't his to fight alone. Sarah, 45 and a ministry leader, told me she was the cornerstone in the mud. She was anchoring everyone but felt completely isolated and unseen, her strength feeling like a pointless weight. Her moment came on a Friday afternoon while reading the section on Gevurah. She said it was like God finally handed her the blueprint for the temple he was building on her, and she wept, realizing her isolation wasn't abandonment, but preparation. David, an entrepreneur of 38, was living the last-minute sabotage. A life-changing contract vanished 24 hours before signing. He got the book that same night, feeling utterly defeated. He told me that reading about spiritual friction was like someone finally turning on the lights in a dark room. He knew how to cover his next opportunity, and he closed a deal twice as large 2 weeks later. Maybe in 3 hours, your story will be the next one I read. Or maybe in 3 hours you will still be carrying the same weight. Every quiet moment after a victory without this understanding is another seed of doubt planted by the enemy. Every month without knowing the name of your Gevurah is another month the enemy uses your own strength against you. Every year without the cornerstone's blueprint is the silent erosion of your capacity to hope, bringing you one step closer to negotiating with a life far below your prophecy. And your family doesn't notice, and your children don't notice. And that silent erosion of your capacity to hope continues to arrive, with the same smile, sitting in the same chair, leaving through the same door. And before I deliver the next word that is still coming now, because it is still coming, and it carries weight. Chosen one. Our digital guide is the primary way we sustain this channel, but you have here another way to strengthen this message that arrived at your house today. We don't receive a single cent for each word I deliver to you every day on this channel. As a way for you to give back something of what you receive here, we also keep a voluntary donation link open, right below the digital book in the first pinned comment. Any amount that fits in your hand today, any sum your heart points to, This is what keeps our channel standing. This is what makes the next message reach another person who needs it, exactly the way you need it today. I'll see you there again, chosen one. But do not leave now. The sealing has not yet ended. There is still a name to be given to your power. It is the exact name of what is happening to you at this moment. A word that came from ancient Hebrew and crossed 3,000 years to find you in this very season of exhaustion. It is the key that turns your greatest burden into your greatest weapon. Stay. The word is Gevurah. Listen to the sound of it in your spirit. Gevurah. It's spelled G-E-V-U-R-A-H. It is often translated simply as strength or power, but this is a dangerous oversimplification. It is not raw force like the strength of a weightlifter. Gevurah is divine, structured might. It is the power God uses to set and enforce cosmic boundaries. It is the strength required to execute divine judgment and to withstand impossible spiritual pressure. And it has been given to you. The exhaustion you feel, that constant spiritual friction, is not a sign that your power is fading. It is the very evidence of your Gevurah. The world and the forces in it are reacting to a divine power they cannot classify or contain. They are pushing back against the boundary you represent. You thought your strength was a burden, a strange anomaly. God is saying today, it is my own might moving through you. This Gevurah is your inheritance, the engine of your prophecy. But because you did not have a name for it, the enemy has been using its weight against you. He has been convincing you that the pressure you feel is a sign of your failure, when in reality, it is the proof of his fear. He cannot break your Gevurah, so he has been trying to make you surrender it by convincing you it is a curse. To have Gevurah without understanding its purpose is to be the strongest person in the room, yet feel the most fragile. It is to be a spiritual giant who has been tricked into believing they are a dwarf. The entire battle you are in is a battle over the identity of your strength. Today, you are not receiving new power. You are receiving the owner's manual for the power you have always had. Today, the burden gets a new name, throne. Stop for a moment and see this. Before a great temple is built, a temple that will touch the heavens, the master builder chooses one stone, the cornerstone. It is not the most beautiful, not the most polished. It is the strongest. It is cut from the heart of the mountain, tested for its ability to bear impossible weight. And it is laid first. It is laid in the mud and the dirt, long before any walls go up. For a season it sits alone. The rain beats down on it. The winds howl around it. Other, smaller stones for pathways and gardens are laid nearby, and they mock the cornerstone. Look at the great stone, they whisper. So strong, yet it does not move. So heavy, yet it builds nothing. The cornerstone feels the weight of the open sky, the cold of the lonely nights, and begins to wonder if the builder has forgotten. It sees other stones finding their place, forming neat little rows, and it sits in the solitary mud, its strength feeling like a pointless anchor. It does not realize that its stillness is its function, its isolation is its purpose. It is not forgotten. It is anchoring the blueprint. It is holding the divine coordinates for the entire temple that will one day rise and scrape the sky. The other stones can be moved, but the cornerstone cannot. Its great weight is not a burden. It is the guarantee of the entire prophecy. Does your spirit recognize this stone? This is not just a parable. This is the signed, documented history of the chosen. Joseph was the most envied and most elevated man in the Old Testament, and that is not a title from a history book. It is a biblical record signed by God himself. His entire life is the story of a cornerstone laid in the mud, whose Gevurah attracted immense resistance long before it brought any reward. It began with a dream from God, a prophecy of his destiny. But the spiritual gravitas of that dream was so heavy that it immediately attracted the silent envy of his brothers. They, who should have protected him, sold him into slavery. The prophecy didn't lead him to a palace, it led him to a pit. His divine calling made him a commodity, an object to be sold, because the weight of his future was a threat to their present. Even in exile, in a foreign land, the pattern continued. He was faithful in Potiphar's house, yet he was falsely accused and thrown into prison. For years he sat in a dungeon, innocent, his Gevurah, contained within stone walls. The envy followed him, and his strength was tested not in grand arenas, but in the crushing silence of a forgotten cell. He was a cornerstone, buried deep beneath the ground, holding a blueprint no one else could see. Then came the moment of application. The Pharaoh had dreams no one could interpret. This was not just a test of spirituality, it was a test of practical, applied wisdom. Joseph's gavura was not just the strength to endure, but the divine wisdom to decode reality and provide a strategy. He interpreted the dreams and laid out a plan to save an entire nation from 7 years of famine. In that moment, he was elevated from prisoner to the second most powerful man in the world. And in his elevation, his purpose was fully revealed. He saved the very brothers who had sold him into slavery out of envy. His life became a living testimony that what the enemy intends for evil, God uses for the salvation of many. Jesus himself referenced Joseph as a type of the Messiah, the one rejected by his own, who becomes the cornerstone of their salvation. His suffering was not random, it was the path to the throne, and he did not take this wisdom to the grave. He left it behind, recorded with a surgical precision that has crossed 3,800 years without losing its edge. The man who was sold because of envy left a map for those who are envied today, and that map is the very instrument of covering you are about to receive. So the cornerstone is not just an idea, it is your identity. The Gevurah is not just a word, it is the divine engine inside you. And the covering of the Most High, that shadow of the Almighty from Psalm 91, is not a poem. It is a spiritual location with a precise address. It is a place where your strength is no longer a target but a fortress. You have been feeling the weight of the crown without the authority of the throne. You have been anchoring the temple without seeing the blueprint, but that is changing now. The deepest truth is yet to come, and it has your name written on it. Let me stop for a full minute and put everything you just heard into simple words. No poetry, no metaphor, just the facts. Fact 1. The exhaustion you feel is a real, measurable spiritual friction caused by the divine weight, the Gevurah, on your life. Fact 2. This friction attracts resistance. The 5 signals you recognized are not bad luck. They are targeted attacks against your prophecy. Fact 3. You have been designated a cornerstone, the foundational piece of a divine project, which is why your strength feels like an isolating burden. And here is who you are within all of this. You are the one who has been bearing the weight of a spiritual reality others cannot see, feeling the pressure of a temple being built upon you before the blueprints were ever revealed. You are not failing. You are not forgotten. You are anchoring a divine coordinate in a hostile world, and the friction is the proof that you are holding your ground. Now what comes next is the naming of your positions in this battle. You hold not 1, but 3 distinct spiritual offices that the enemy has been attacking because he knows their power better than you do. The first office you hold is Kapi Pendi, the cornerstone. This is your foundational identity. You are the one chosen for immense strength, placed first in isolation to set the coordinates for everything God will build upon you. You are the guarantee of the entire prophecy. The spiritual implication is that your seasons of loneliness are not abandonment, they are periods of anchoring. Your feeling of being stuck is your function. While other, smaller stones are moved, you cannot be. Your stillness is your strength, and it is the very thing the enemy tries to label as stagnation. The second office you hold is the Atlas. You bear the invisible world of others' prophecies on your shoulders. You carry the weight of their breakthroughs, their deliverance, and their stability. You are the one holding up a spiritual reality so that others can walk into their promised land. The implication is that the exhaustion you feel is not always yours. You are absorbing the spiritual fallout from the battles you are winning for others. The enemy's strategy is to make you collapse under the weight of victories that were never celebrated as your own, to make you believe the burden is a curse, not a calling. The third office you hold is the unclaimed crown. You possess a real, functioning royal authority. It emits a spiritual gravitas that affects your environment. But because it has not been officially coronated in the physical realm, it feels heavy, unofficial, and draws contention rather than honor. The implication is that you are fighting for a territory you already own. The resistance you face is not from an equal, but from a usurper, trying to prevent the coronation of a king he knows has already been declared in the heavens. The battle is to make you lay down a crown you don't even realize you're already wearing. If you recognize yourself in even one of those three offices, the cornerstone, the atlas, the unclaimed crown, I need you to declare it, not for me, but as an act of spiritual warfare. Go to the comments right now and write, "I am the cornerstone and I will not be moved." This is more than a comment. It is an affirmation of your divine post. And if this message is the blueprint you have been waiting for, subscribe to this channel. This isn't about a number. It is an act of staying connected to the source that God is using to deliver your instructions. Do not break the connection before the full instruction is delivered. Now, for that first quiet moment after a victory, when the exhaustion hits, I am giving you a tool. It is an actionable protocol you can execute in less than 3 minutes. It is called the Cornerstone's Seal. When you feel that wave of weariness and emptiness, you will do these 3 things. First, you will close your eyes and say aloud, "I acknowledge this weight. It is not a punishment. It is the shadow of my Gevura." You are naming the friction, taking away the enemy's power of accusation. Second, you will place a hand on your chest and declare, "My strength is not a burden, it is a boundary. I am a cornerstone, and my position is set by God." You are reaffirming your office. Third, you will seal it with the promise of your covering. "I dwell in the secret place of the Most High." This victory and its cost are covered under the shadow of the Almighty. As you say this, I want you to intentionally breathe out, as if you are releasing a physical weight. The seal of confirmation will be a tangible feeling of lightness in your shoulders and peace in your spirit, as if a heavy, invisible cloak has just been lifted. And this cornerstone seal I've just placed in your hands, it's a door. But there is a difference between opening a door and inhabiting the whole house. The tool I just gave you covers you in that next quiet moment, a covering. What is in the first pinned comment covers the 7 reasons why the spiritual gravitas on your life made you a target, not randomly, but because something specific in you activated your Gevura over your foundation. It shows the 3 patterns the enemy uses to attack your stability, and it gives you the complete ritual of covering that you execute before every major breakthrough for the next 12 months. You have just been declared the cornerstone. But a cornerstone without the architect's blueprint is just a block of marble sinking into the mud. The seal you just received is real. What is in the first pinned comment is what transforms that seal into armor. And while you hear this, someone just like you has already opened the link and is reading the 3rd reason why their strength has felt so heavy. I am not rushing you. I am telling you that the link is still there, exactly where you expected to find it, waiting for the same decision you are making now. But before you decide, I need to show you what the envious one will try to do against this tool in the next 72 hours. The moment you begin to operate in what you have just received, and this will happen in the next 72 hours, 3 specific things will be launched against you. The enemy will not wait. He heard what you heard, and his counterattack is not random. It is a precise 3-pronged assault designed to neutralize the cornerstone seal before the cement even dries. Know the tactics, and you will hold the weapons. The first tactic is the doubt bomb. Within hours, a voice that sounds remarkably like your own reasonable, logical mind will begin to whisper, "It's just a coincidence. You are feeling emotional. This prophecy is just you connecting dots that aren't there. You're not a cornerstone, you're just tired and stressed." This attack aims to relabel your revelation as a delusion, turning the divine word into a psychological symptom. Your weapon against this is a declaration of naming. The moment that thought arrives, you will stop what you are doing, even if it's just for 5 seconds, and say aloud, "I name this doubt. It is a lie against my Gevura." Then, take a pen and write the word Gevura on a small piece of paper and put it in your pocket or wallet. This symbolic act anchors the spiritual reality into the physical. You are holding the name of your power, a tangible counterargument to the whisper of doubt. The second tactic is the crisis of distraction. Just as you decide to perform the cornerstone seal for the first time, perhaps in that first quiet moment tonight, an urgent, emotionally draining crisis will erupt. A sudden conflict with a loved one, an unexpected problem at work that demands your immediate attention. The goal is to drain your spiritual energy and focus, making the ritual feel like a luxury you can't afford in the middle of a fire. Your weapon is the law of first response. Before you answer that phone call, before you reply to that text, before you engage the crisis, you will perform a 10-second version of the seal. Close your eyes, take one deep breath and whisper, "I am covered before I engage." This isn't about ignoring the problem. It is about entering the battle from the secret place of the Most High, ensuring that the crisis serves your prophecy, not the other way around. The third tactic is the isolation of the seer. When you wake up tomorrow with this new clarity, you may feel an urge to share it, but when you do, you will be met with polite, vacant stares, subtle mockery, or worse, a concerned look that implies you're becoming fanatical. They will not see what you see, and their lack of validation will be used to make you feel foolish, alone, and tempted to put the heavy royal cloak back in the closet. Your weapon is the recognition of formation. In that moment of isolation, you will consciously think, "This is the loneliness of the cornerstone." Joseph felt this in the pit. David felt this in the cave. I am not alone. I am in formation. You will not argue or try to convince them. You will simply give a calm, quiet smile and say, "God has been showing me some things." This answer disarms their judgment and reaffirms that your revelation does not require a committee's approval. And about this isolation, you recognized as real. I must tell you something now. There are 4 more tactics beyond these 3. I cannot reveal them all here, not for lack of time, but for density. Each one requires its own page, with its own counter-weapon, with the specific verbal declaration that neutralizes the attack the instant it arrives. And while I do not deliver these 4 tactics here, the spiritual friction you feel knows all 7 of them. This is all mapped out within the 7 spiritual reasons why the chosen ones face so much envy, along with the exact sequence of covering to be applied when your strength is being used to anchor a new project, or when you are bringing divine order to your family. You will need this not tomorrow. You will need this tonight when the initial fire from this message cools and the spiritual friction whispers that this feeling of hope is just another emotional high that will be gone by morning. You will need this tomorrow morning when you wake up and the memory of your gevura feels distant and the heavy cloak feels just heavy again, not royal. And you will need this in your next quiet moment after a victory, when spiritual friction rushes in with maximum force to poison your testimony with exhaustion. The link is still in the first pinned comment. I am not rushing you. I am warning you that the second day is harder than the first, and the spiritual friction you feel knows this better than you do. But before you even think about clicking, I need to show you what you yourself will do against yourself in the next 72 hours. Because the worst obstacle is not the envious one, it's the voice you confuse with your own. The most dangerous obstacle is not the external attack, but the internal one. I call it the fear of seeming ungrateful. It's a righteous-sounding voice that says, "Look at all your blessings. You have a roof over your head, food to eat." To name this spiritual friction is to complain. It makes you sound ungrateful. Maybe this weight you feel is simply the price of a good life. It feels so reasonable, so humble, but this is a lie wrapped in piety. It is the enemy's most subtle tactic, using your own sense of gratitude to silence your spirit's cry for covering. Gratitude for your blessings and naming the battle against your prophecy are not mutually exclusive. You can be grateful for the temple and still fight the forces trying to erode its foundation. Your defense is to reframe it immediately. When that voice comes, you will answer it directly. My gratitude is the reason I protect the prophecy. I am not being ungrateful for the gift. I am being a faithful steward of the gevura that fuels it. A warrior who ignores the enemy because he is grateful for his armor is a fool who will soon have no armor left. And there is one last thing, the one that worries me most of all, that I am going to do to you before this message closes. It is not an attack from the outside. It is a door I must open on the inside, and it is the final key to understanding why the strongest feel the most alone. Now, wherever you are, I ask you to stop everything. If you are driving, please pull over when it is safe. If you are at home, stand up or sit upright in your chair. Close your eyes. Place your right hand over your heart. Let the noise of the world fade away. This is not for me. This is for you to receive the seal that has been waiting for your attention. Take a deep breath in, and as you breathe out, I want you to feel the physical weight of that invisible cloak on your shoulders, the one you have carried for so long. Feel its texture, its heaviness. We are not ignoring it anymore. We are addressing it by name, so that we can remove it by authority. This is the moment of release. I release you from the shame of your own strength. I release you from the guilt you feel for being exhausted, from the secret belief that your spiritual weariness is a character flaw or a lack of faith. I break the lie that says a true chosen one should feel light and easy, and I release you from the isolation of feeling like a spiritual giant who has been tricked into believing they are a dwarf. I release you from the cowardly fear of seeming ungrateful. I sever the demonic cord that chokes your testimony, the one that tells you to downplay your victories to comfort the mediocrity of others. I break the false loyalty that demands you bleed in silence to keep the peace with those who resent the weight of what you were called to be. Your gratitude and your battle are not enemies. I release you from the version of yourself that has learned to absorb the chaos of others as a form of love. I release you from the pattern of being the family anchor and coming home drained, of solving everyone's crisis and having no one to help you with your own. I release you from the lie that your value is tied to how much you can carry for others while your own foundation cracks. And I release you from the phantom voices of your past, the voice of the brother who sold you, the friend who betrayed you, the leader who misunderstood you. I cancel their assignment of disqualification over your life. I command those echoes of envy and rejection to be silenced now by the sound of your true identity being called forth. And in this place of release, I now call forth what God has already placed within you. I call forth the cornerstone, the unshakable foundational part of you that was built to withstand impossible pressure. I activate its stillness, its purpose, its divine function to anchor the blueprint of heaven on earth. Let the mud and dirt of this season fall away, revealing the stone cut from God's own mountain. I call forth the Atlas in you, but I recommission it under a new authority. No longer will you carry the weight of others' chaos, but you will now carry the ark of their deliverance. I activate the strength to bear the spiritual reality of God's promises for your house, for your city, for your nation, not as a burden, but as a mantle of priestly intercession. I call forth the unclaimed crown. I activate the royal authority you carry, the Gevurah that commands spiritual atmospheres to bow. I call it out of its unofficial, contested state and into its rightful dominion. Feel the weight on your head change now, from a heavy helmet of warfare to a coronated crown of governance. You are not fighting for territory, you are ruling from it. Now, with your hand still on your heart and your eyes closed, I want you to say this aloud after me. Let your own ears hear your spirit agree with heaven. Say these words: my strength is not a burden, it is my throne. Say it again, with the authority you feel rising. My strength is not a burden, it is my throne. The cornerstone that was once buried in mud is now being washed by the rain of the Spirit, its true markings revealed. The strength that felt like a pointless anchor is now recognized as the guarantee of the entire prophecy. The temple is being built upon you, and for the first time you can feel the rightness of the weight. But do not say, Amen, yet. We have released, we have activated, but we have not yet sealed. The most important weapon is the one you will use when the envious one returns, and he will return. Do not break the connection. Stay with me. And now, with the authority of the throne that is your own strength, I declare a covering over the 3 territories where the envious one attacks your foundation. I place a seal of Gevurah over your table, over every meal you share, every gathering with family and friends. I command the spirit of invalidation to be silenced, the conversations that drain you, the subtle envy that cloaks itself as concern, the praise that feels like a prelude to a request. They lose their power now. Your table will no longer be a courtroom where your victories are cross-examined, but a place of rest where your spirit is fed. I place a seal over your house, over your children, your spouse, your physical home. The chaos that is imported from the outside, the spiritual friction that makes your home feel like a battlefield instead of a sanctuary, is barred at the door. I release the anointing of peace that calms the storm, the authority of the cornerstone that makes your foundation unshakable. Your home is now sealed as a secret place, a dwelling under the shadow of the Almighty, where the noise of the world cannot reach the frequency of your family's destiny. I place a seal over your work, over your projects, your finances, your divine opportunities. The last-minute sabotage, the bizarre obstacles, the envy from colleagues who resent the light you carry, their assignment is cancelled. I release the blessing of completion over every blueprint God has given you. Your hands are no longer tied by invisible threads. The work of your hands is now consecrated, and the fruit of your labor is protected from the locust of jealousy. The path to your elevation is cleared. I saw you. I saw you at that family dinner, when you shared a small piece of good news and the air was sucked out of the room. I saw you spend the next hour making yourself smaller, asking questions about everyone else, trying to restore the comfort your own light had disturbed. I saw the quiet drive home, the weight of that forced smile heavier than any workload. I saw you in the middle of the night, awake at 3 a.m., not from a nightmare, but from the sheer hum of your spirit. I saw you staring at the ceiling, feeling the weight of a divine idea. A blueprint so clear and powerful, it felt like a physical object in the room. And I saw the wave of exhaustion that followed, the whisper that asked, "Who are you to build something this big?" I saw you on that phone call, pouring out world-changing wisdom to a friend in crisis, giving them the exact strategy to save their marriage, their business, their sanity. And I saw you hang up the phone, the silence of your own empty room crashing down on you, and I saw you whisper to yourself, "Who does this for me?" I saw you look at your own child and feel a surge of love so fierce it was immediately followed by a wave of terror, the enemy whispering about the dangers of a world that will not understand the light in them, the same light it resents in you. I saw the battle you fought in that moment, to cover them in prayer instead of covering them in fear. We break the doubt bomb that whispers, "It's just a coincidence," before it even arrives. We dismantle the crisis of distraction before it can be launched against this sacred moment. We dissolve the isolation of the seer before it can build a wall around your heart. Your strength is not a burden, it is your throne. Your strength is not a burden, it is your throne. Your strength is not a burden, it is your throne, it is sealed. I saw you on that phone call giving away a kingdom's worth of wisdom and hanging up to the sound of your own silence. Don't open your eyes yet. What was sealed here now will be tested in the first quiet moment after your next victory. When you are alone and the adrenaline fades, the envious one does not accept without a fight what has just been decreed over you. And a king who is commissioned without his armor walks into an open field. The anointing was confirmed in heaven. Now it must survive the next quiet moment on earth. The 7 spiritual reasons why the chosen ones face so much envy is in the first pinned comment right below here. Not as a substitute for what you received in this message, as a companion to defend what was sealed, because anointing without covering rots in the first quiet moment after a victory. And the envious one is counting on that quiet moment, less than a bottle of water you buy at the airport, running towards a gate that feels 1,000,000 miles away. Less than the extra charge for guacamole on a burrito that gives you 5 minutes of comfort, with a 7-day guarantee. The risk is ours. The hand is yours. Click now, while the decree is still alive in your chest. Not tomorrow, not after the shower, not after talking to someone, but because the first person you'll talk to will have a reasonable opinion that will cost the shield of your house. Because whoever leaves it for later, leaves it for never. And the envious one already knows this. He counted on later when you received the last message that transformed you, and the one before, and the one before that. This one won't be another one. That voice whispering now, "This is too much, well, you're just tired. It's just an emotional high. You can do this tomorrow. What if it's not worth it?" That voice is not yours. It sounds like yours. It uses your vocabulary, it knows your excuses. But it is the voice of the one who lost today in the court of heaven, and is trying to regain ground before your next quiet moment. Every second that voice gains is a second the decree loses temperature. Click before the envious one speaks louder than the decree that has just been sealed over your head. Don't move yet. The seal you just received has a frequency, and the envious one has a specific tactic to jam that frequency, a tactic that disguises itself as your own humility. That is what we will expose in the next message. Click the video that appears on your screen now. And even in this video, chosen one, before I seal this hour with you, you have here a final way to strengthen this message that arrived at your house today. As a way for you to give back something of what you receive here, we keep a voluntary donation link open, right below the digital book in the first pinned comment. Any amount that fits in your hand today, any sum your heart points to. The truth is, that donation is what keeps our channel standing. It is what makes the next word reach another person who needs it, exactly as you needed it today. Many are called, but only the chosen ones who are also sowers will reap a harvest from a message like this. That is the final protocol. This was my last request. I'll see you there, chosen one. Now, as a final act, I want you to give your full agreement to what has been done here. I want you to sign this spiritual contract with your own voice. Go to the comments and write, "I sign this decree with my strength. My throne is taken." This is your signature in the courts of heaven. This is you telling every spiritual force, friend or foe, that the cornerstone has accepted its position and the crown has been claimed. And there is someone you know, someone whose strength has made them a target, who feels like a foundational stone but thinks they're just a weight in the mud. Someone who needs the exact same shield you received here today. Send this message to them now, and if they want to go deeper, the link to the 7 spiritual reasons is in the first pinned comment, waiting just as it waited for you. It's not your favor, it's servitude, and heaven sees. It is done. What was delivered here was delivered. You are not the same person you were when you pressed play. Feel this gravity for one more moment. The first quiet moment after your next victory can wait another 10 seconds.